Good morning. My name is Ryan McKeel. I'm a follower of Christ, and today I'd like to recap August 8th, 2013 of the Global Leadership Summit. A lot of great speakers, a lot of godly speakers, and here's the recap. It started with encouraging us to be here and be now and be present. Bill Hybels spoke about vision and leadership. He said, vision tests the mettle of the leader. He encouraged us all to not go to our graves with aborted, shriveled visions. As leaders, we have visions, and it's fear and lack of basic bravery that keeps us from following through with this vision. Why do we abort our vision? The cost is too high, the failure is too likely. We FedEx the vision back to God and say, no thanks, we're not interested. But the impact that can be had for the kingdom from following through with vision is outstanding, and Bill Hybels gave some great examples from Willow Creek Church. Key highlight there is Joshua 1:9, be strong and courageous. And leaders also define reality, whether it's a downturn in the business or the government or the organization, the church that you're in, or status quo, or rocking and moving up. There are different things that leaders can do to respond to these. In a downturn, you declare an emergency and a call to arms. In status quo situation where everybody's humming along well, leaders should set a fire. This is a precursor to demise and death, is the status quo situation. Rocking and moving up, you build up cash reserves, you pour fuel on the fire, and you take risks with young leaders. Leader always needs to know where his organization is headed, and oftentimes the team knows before the leader does whether the organization is slumping downward, staying status quo, or going upward. Bill went on to talk about culture builders and culture busters. He says, we aren't going to pay people to bust our culture. So you want to build a great culture. Best Christian Workplace is a resource that Willow Creek used. Eventually they built their culture back, and they were able to realize a huge performance differential by having everybody on the same team, on the same vector, instead of having some people if you think of a boat, some people would be rowing, some people would be napping, some people would be trying to sink the boat. Not a good place for an organization to be. People join organizations, but people leave managers, was a quote from Bill. Casting vision has to, at some point, turn into establishment and enforcement of values. Leader can't wait until everybody accepts the vision. He or she has to plow forward. Here's our stance, here's our vision, like it or leave it. Today is that day. This is what God wants in our organization. Deal with it. That means some people will leave your organization when you put down a powerful vision and enforce it. That's okay. I think of Gideon, and he had many soldiers that had to leave, but that was still God's plan to utilize those 300 to win. Lead long enough, you will reinvent the organization and yourself. Leaders have to have courage despite heartbreaking disappointments and blistering criticism. Moving on then. General Colin Powell spoke, and he said, leaders inspire people to go beyond themselves. No one is unimportant. You need to constantly tell people that. So if you have someone cleaning your office, you need to talk with them. You need to understand who they are as a person, and you can even tell them, I can't achieve my purpose unless you clean my office. You are critical to this organization objectives. Instead of saying, you're out of sight, out of mind, you might come into my office in the evening, but I don't really care about you. Not the way to run an organization, the godly way. Leaders trust and empower their people. People the leader can trust and trust me. Leaders empower their subordinates to make decisions in a zone. So instead of giving them little decisions and you keeping the big ones, they say, this is your territory, I empower you. Otherwise, people are just widgets. They're just robots on a factory floor. Why even hire them? Leaders should communicate challenge to their subordinates. Leaders should promote based on potential, not performance. Talk to people to find an answer. Is he or she ready for more? Oftentimes it's evident after talking to people around the person you're thinking about promoting whether it's useful to promote them. What's a bad thing for young leaders? Ego. Young leaders need to learn humility, and that is red flag if young leaders have too much ego. A couple axioms from Colin before I move on. It'll look better in the morning. This is not always the case following a big tragedy or a big issue. However, it's communicating hope and vision. Don't worry, employees, things will look better in the morning. Another was tell me early. Employees, tell me about problems early so that we have more time to solve the problem. You can get mad if you have to, but get over it soon. If you stay mad, the organization is contaminated. Do you want to keep moving forward? Have a destination. So here's some highlights from Colin's talk. Patrick Lencioni's talk. Causes of job misery. Anonymity. The people, as an employee, you could say the people we were working for didn't even know us. Truth is, employees want to be known, and anonymity kills their interest in the job and makes them miserable. Irrelevance. Does my job matter to anyone? You can't love your work if you don't think it matters. The solution to that is leaders is give dignity to your job and to your employees' jobs. When someone's job is to help us, such as an administrative assistant, then you should thank them and tell them how it helped. Their job is to help you, so their reward is your thankfulness, even if it's the small things, like Patrick said, scheduling a haircut during a busy time when he wasn't able to schedule a haircut. He could say thank you for that, and that led to greater job satisfaction. A measurement, which is not a word, but gets the point across that if you can't measure the impact of your job, you're going to be miserable. Put something in place, whether it's quantitative numbers or whether it's qualitative, to know if you're doing a good job. These shouldn't just be managers flowing down numbers. It should be employees able to assess their own value. Liz Wiseman, moving right along, talked about multipliers. She has a book called Multipliers. Talked about several leaders who are multipliers, and then talked about people who you think of in the past who were diminishers. These are not good leaders that really didn't see the best in you, things like that. So a diminisher leader doesn't check in on the employees, micromanages, maybe emails instead of talks, puts the employee in a box, is selfish, controlling, doesn't listen, and generally has the attitude, no one will figure it out without me. I am critical, I'm the genius behind this project, and that leads to stress in the subordinates, the employees, and that stress leads to a little bit of stupidity. If I'm a diminisher leader, then I'm probably getting 0 to 30% of the intelligence of my people. However, if I'm a multiplier leader, I'm getting maybe upwards of 80% of the intelligence of my people, because a multiplier is a trust guru. This is someone who says, I believe that my employees are smart and they'll figure it out. Freedom, encouragement, being a champion for the employees, asking questions, inspiring, all these signs are part of a multiplier. So a multiplier identifies people's geniuses, is a talent magnet, helps ask questions. These are all good signs. Liz went on to talk about different personality types, which I won't go into, that are actually detrimental, and how they can be detrimental, such as the optimist, the rapid responder, the rescuer, the pace setter, the always on leader, and the idea guy. I won't go into those in detail now. You'll have to watch the videos, or maybe this refreshes your memory if you did already watch the summit. Chris Brown, an amazing storyteller, godly man, and a one-quarter pastor, as he says. It's hard to summarize what Chris said, but I'll try to give you the endpoints of it. Leaders need to create more room at the top. Let young eagles fly up. Are you concerned about God's kingdom or about your kingdom and your reputation? There's a big difference between, okay, am I the disciple who's asking, okay, am I number one and number two? Am I on the left side or the right side of Christ? Versus just serving and humility. Chris did an amazing job of telling the story of David and Goliath and other stories in a way that I've never heard them. So I encourage you to check that out if you can. Bob Goff. These are the notes that I took. Pretty much nothing, but that was because he was such an inspiring speaker that he replicated Christ just out of his enthusiasm for Christ. This is what my shirt is about. This is an interrobang, which Bob Goff reminded me about, exclamation point and a question mark. Bob said, love God, love others, and do stuff. Quite simply, live life with Christ and don't look back, and live it vibrantly. He apparently flies to the grocery store. He's done some amazing work in Uganda, and he just embodies what life can look like, how exciting life can be with Christ. There were some other speakers and a comedian, the initiator of the Bible series on television, so if you can check out the Global Leadership Summit videos, please do. It's outstanding. Thanks.